I get on a plane and head to Doha in Dubai, I'm going to pack up what I'm going to bring with me. So I'm bringing my hobonichi cousin Avec. I'm so thrilled that I have the Avec system this year, so I don't have to bring something super chunky. I know it's only February, but I'm also going to be taking an international vacation towards the second half of the year, so I won't even bring this one. I'll have my second half. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to take your cousin with you or your journal with you, is to have one that's less chunky. I also bought the hobonichi Tragen, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, case. And I don't usually leave my journal in a case, but while I'm traveling, I want to. And I was originally thinking of just getting a clear cover and bringing like a zipper pouch or something, but this one really caught my eye. So they actually released this, I want to say last year, or maybe with the release for 2025. But for the spring release for 2025, they released this in two new colors. There was a bright red and a really nice, like muted, like sage green. I loved both of those colors, and that's really what caught my eye for this. So I hadn't really looked at it before. Now you're probably wondering, why do I have the black one? Well, I was looking at those colors and I really liked them, but I was worried that the red it's so bright that I would get sick of it. And the green looked like it will get dirty if I'm using it for travel. These are not that cheap, so I didn't want to get more than one, especially if I didn't know if I was going to use it. So I decided to invest in the black one, and maybe I will get a green one in the future if I love it. So I will share links for things that are still available down below. So I'll share links to these on Amazon if you're interested. So this case, it's like a 3-fold case. And I think this is perfect for travel because my plan is, other than my photo printer, to have everything I bring for my journaling to pack inside here. So this just slips into that little spot. There's still this little pocket here. I'm not sure if I will even use it. We'll see. I have this pocket, these small pockets, and then here, and then there's a pen loop here where I can put my favorite pen or my most frequently used pen. I think I can like clip it on there. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So that fits like that. That's nice. And then there's this zipper pouch where I can keep some like markers and highlighters and things. So my most frequently used ones will go in there. And then there's this one on the back, and I'm thinking I can put maybe some stickers in there and some washi. So I'm trying to decide what I want to bring. Of course, here's going to be my journal. And then in my journal, I will have my my pencil board. I'm going to stick that in there right now. And then I know I'm going to need some scissors, and I'm going to need some adhesive. So I have like a rolling adhesive here. So these are going to go in here, of course. So I know this is probably going to get a little chunky, but I'm going to see if I can do it. And the adhesive might be a bit chunky. And the scissors could even maybe go over here. Yeah, I think they're probably better in there. And actually, I will end up actually taking those out and putting them in my checked bag because this is going to come in my carry-on and I don't want to bring the scissors on the plane. I'm not entirely sure what the limits are, and I don't need them on the plane. So I'm thinking something like that. So it's a little chunky, but I think that might work. I wish I had like a less chunky adhesive, but I feel like I do really need the adhesive. This is also magnetized and my scissors are sticking on it. That's kind of fun. So I'm going to go through my pens and decide kind of what I want to bring. I'm going to try to go super minimal with this trip. So I'm also going to flip open and show you guys. I'm still working on like catching up stuff, but I shared another video before my vacation where I set these pages up so you can see kind of what I have set up. This is my travel day. Then I have Doha, my days in Doha, Dubai, my days in Dubai, my day in Abu Dhabi. Then I'm going back to Dubai, and I didn't put my traveling home, but I did put this on here for just like the recap of the month. I think I'm going to use those in my album or my journal. So I have some base stuff in here. So I'm not going to put a ton on these pages. I'm thinking I want to bring some washi tape. I'm going to bring some stickers because I do want to stay caught up with my weeklies where I kind of put a summary of what happened, and I will put some stickers. And I'm not going to work on my monthlies. So my monthlies, I put like an icon for something every day. And this is kind of where February is right now. But I'm not going to work on this. I'm not going to bring like magazine cutouts and stuff. That's just would take up way too much space. And honestly, I won't really have time for that. So I'm thinking of what washi I want to bring as the first step. Okay, so I have this drawer and I pulled this out of my Sysmax drawer system. I use that to keep all my markers and everything on my desk. And this one has just like some random stickers. I have this 2025, which is probably going to go on my second Avec. I have some of these like larger stickers. These are from ABC. I've got some sticky notes and just some like other little stickers in here. These are cute. I forgot I had those. Sometimes I don't dig through here as often as I probably should, but I'm going through here to think about if there's any stickers and stuff I want to bring from this, but also washi. So I don't bring rolls of washi while I'm traveling because that would take up way too much space. Instead, I bring samplers. So I have some samplers here that I have made for previous trips, and I probably want to bring one of those. The problem is I always buy new washi, and then these are some from some friends. So I always buy some new washi, and like, so these are some travel ones, but they are kind of tailored to another vacation. Same with these were some like newer ones. These are some like neutral, like basics. Those might be useful, but like, I'm not going to use the bubble one. And so like, I don't even remember what all of these were for, but none of these really fit this trip. So I'm thinking I might want to make a new one. So I brought over my white board. So I use these like white plastic sheets, and I'm going to crop it down using my paper trimmer and round the corners so it's not like sharp poking things. And then I can put that probably in the back slot. I was thinking I could also, so I get the Coffee Monster Co. washi sub, and it came with this little one. So I think I could put that like in here and bring some washi on that. But I don't know that this will be enough pieces of washi, so I'm probably going to want some more options. I'm not sure though. Maybe I could go super minimal. So what I'm going to do is put you guys on voiceover so I can take my time to figure out what washi and stickers I want to bring. I'm going to go through my sticker box, figure out what I need and what I really want to bring and what pens and markers I want to bring. And then I will pop back on and share with you like a final look through of everything that ended up in my journal cover. Okay, so I have the zipper pouch, and this is not for craft supplies to come, but this is where I collect my ephemera, and this is from Studio Calico, and I've just brought one of these on a trip. These are old, from an old kit. I usually bring one on a trip and I'll stick all the ephemera that I collect in it. What I decided to do is put my adhesive and my scissors in there. That's gonna go in my checked bag, and they're just bulkier. I don't want them in here. I'm not gonna bring them on the plane with me, and it'll just make it a lot easier because I'm really only gonna use those with ephemera anyways. So let's go through this. In this front pouch, I narrowed down my pens, and I'm still on the fence about bringing that one because I always use a gray mild liner. But I essentially chose a color scheme. I brought one Tombow twin tone. This is not a color I typically use, but I was trying out different ones, trying to come up with like another color that would come with this color scheme. I have 3 Rytec brush sign pens, which I'm obsessed with those. 2 mild liners, my dot marker, my thin and thick food in a suitcase, the twin tone. Then I brought one Sarasa clip. This is like a dark olivey brown, just to have a different color of ink. And then I'm bringing one more Energel Plana and my marker and my ruler. So I'm bringing a second one of those. I do have one in here, but that's my main pen. And if it runs out of ink, I lose it. I don't want to run out of not having a pen, because that's probably the most important thing besides the journal itself. I put some stickers over here. I really narrowed down what I was going to bring. I have some bigger ones back here. I have some sticky notes here, and then the washi I decided to go with. So that all packs up in here. It is a little chunky with those markers and stuff up front, but it's not bad. And then I decided not to put anything in the back. I think maybe I'll put some ephemera and stuff in here as I'm like collecting it before I put it in this big thing. But I didn't really want to put anything in here, partially because this doesn't like seal closed, and I was worried stuff might fall out. But I think it'd be a good like landing place for things as I find them. And then I have my Canon selfie square printer. So this is the craft stuff that's coming with me. Now let's go ahead and go. Okay, so I decided to do a little bit of voiceover in addition to the text on screen. I like the text on screen because that way you can read it, see how things are spelled, and I don't butcher the pronunciation, but I can also share some of my thoughts like this. So you probably noticed that I skipped a date, and that's because our flight was so long. Plus, Qatar is 8 hours in the future from where I live in New York, so we pretty much lost an entire day. Our first day was jam-packed with lots of sightseeing, so join me as I take you around Doha. Okay, so I wanted to share some of my thoughts about this library because you guys know I love books. And this library is full of both Arabic and English language books, and it's just gorgeous. So, the main floor of the library and all of the stairs up include just a regular library with access to a lot of books. There was also a gift shop in the middle and lots of different interactive things that you would find in a library like computer stations, but there were also large touchscreen stations. And it was just a very nice library if you were looking for a library. But as a tourist, I just liked seeing the beautiful views. Then in the basement, they had a historical library that was essentially a museum with a lot of old artifacts and books, and it was just really neat to see. So after the library, it actually started raining a little. I wasn't honestly expecting that in the desert, but as you could see in a lot of these video clips, it was a little overcast on this first day. It was still warm out in the 70s, but it was a little overcast and we did get some scattered showers. So we went to the Mall of Qatar for a coffee break. I got an amazing tiramisu latte from 1111 and we just browsed for a little before taking the metro back to the hotel to rest and journal. We went back to the Souk Waqif for dinner. I didn't catch any footage of that, but that was going to wrap up day one in Doha. So while I'm journaling about the first day, I thought I would share a little bit more about Doha and my general thoughts and the types of things that I wanted or would have wished that someone would have told me before I took a trip there. So, first of all, Doha is an extremely safe city. Qatar is a very safe country. A lot of the Middle East is very safe. So, it's somewhere that I highly recommend traveling if you're a little less adventurous, but you want to see some international locations because everything is safe. I did hear that there is some risk of catching a traveler's stomach from food or water, but we didn't have any problems and I felt like everything was up to my standards, but I would maybe avoid street food. As far as dress, you could probably tell from what I'm wearing that it's a little bit more of a conservative culture. There were definitely other tourists there that were not dressed super conservatively, that I would find that to be a little bit offensive to their culture. But of course, people were very understanding and respectful. I didn't see people getting turned away. However, some of the businesses did have dress codes. For example, the library had a dress code that knees and shoulders needed to be covered. If you were to visit a mosque, you would need a head covering. We didn't go into any mosques in Doha because from what I read, they were not super welcoming to tourists. They were more operational mosques and I wanted to be respectful. You will see in this video a few shots of the outside of mosques, which I think was plenty for us to see. I wanted to be respectful of their culture while also seeing the sights. You also might find in some of my videos that there's not a lot of people, and I would say that Doha is not very crowded at all. That said, we tend to get out early, so a lot of the reason why you don't see people in my videos is because we're out super early. That doesn't mean that there aren't people around, but like earlier in this video, there was a shot of the pool in my hotel and there was nobody out there. That's because it was like 7:30 in the morning when I took that video, and it was definitely full during the day. There were a lot of tourists there enjoying the pool and the weather. Unfortunately, it was a little cold for me to go out to the pool. This was in the middle of February, so this is still their winter, but Doha is a very hot climate. They're in the desert, so in the winter, it is the most enjoyable time to visit, and it was still very nice for us to get out of the cold of New York into the 70s and low 80 temperatures. Unfortunately, we had slightly of a colder spell, and I think it was in the high 60s one day, but still definitely very comfortable for walking around. In Qatar, a lot of things were super affordable. We were able to take Ubers most places. Ubers were super reliable, and they were very cheap, only a couple dollars, US dollars, to get anywhere. The metro was also extremely cheap. It was only a couple US dollars for an unlimited day pass. And like I said earlier in this video, it was very clean. So it was very easy to get around on the metro or with Ubers. Not everything was well marked, and some things didn't make a ton of sense. For example, there were a lot of large streets, and walking across them, finding a place to walk across is kind of hard, and sometimes you have to walk a distance to find a crossing spot. But besides that, I found it pretty easy to get around, especially given the low cost of an Uber, because you could just jump in a car and go a couple of miles if you wanted to save your feet. I did struggle a little bit with finding food that I liked. One thing that I found that was very disappointing was that a lot of the reviews on Yelp and the other sites that you tend to go to see if a restaurant is good were fake. So a lot of restaurants had 5 stars, 4 stars, and they often were not up to expectations. From what I've heard, there are some good places to go, but it is hard to find them because there are a lot of fake reviews bolstering up the scores of restaurants. For Middle Eastern food, of course, you're going to find some good options. I also struggled to find things that were not Middle Eastern food. I understand I was in the Middle East, but Doha is also a large modern city, so it was a little disappointing that I couldn't find some of the other types of food that I liked, but I was still happy being able to try some different types of food. So Doha and Qatar are very up and coming as a travel destination. The city is definitely doing a lot to try to bring in tourists as the country. The reason that we went here was we took Qatar Airlines, which was not my favorite airline, to be honest, but it wasn't awful. And it was a good price. And they do give you a free layover in Doha. We chose to stay here for 3 full days. And that was a completely free layover. So we didn't have to pay any extra for the flight to get here. Our primary destination is Dubai. And that travel and document with me video will be coming soon. However, because the city is so up and coming, it is definitely not done yet. So there were a lot of things to see, but there was also a lot of construction and a lot of places where you could see where it was going to be great, but it wasn't quite ready yet. That said, I do still think Doha is worth visiting at this point, and it might be good to get here because I was really happy to be here ahead of the crowds. Well, even if we were out in the evenings, there were people around. It was never so busy that we felt uncomfortable or, we didn't have to wait a long time to get to places. We were able to get the photos we wanted. So it was definitely an enjoyable experience, and I highly recommend. There was a small visa fee to enter the country. I believe it was 21 US dollars, but you pay it right when you get there, and we didn't need a visa with US passports. So you didn't need to buy a visa in advance. You could just show up and they gave you the visa you just paid at the entrance to the country. Next, we stopped to see the skyline again. I absolutely loved the skyline view in Doha. The first day we saw it, it was overcast, but on the second day, it was warm out. It was super nice weather, and we had a very clear view of the skyline. Were able to take quite a few pictures, and I know these videos don't do it justice, but hopefully you can get kind of a glimpse of what I was able to see. For day 3, we had a much more relaxed pace. We started the day with breakfast at the hotel and some lounging by the pool before heading into the city to the Souk Waqif again for lunch. Plus, we did a little bit more exploring and saw a little bit more of the souk that we missed the day before. Then we headed back to the hotel and relaxed for a bit until later in the evening. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.